All right, boys and girls, welcome to SEO Unmasked. It's episode number 83 today on February 20th. I think it's episode 83, but yeah, I'm Garrett.
I'm Vindeletta.
Steve Brownlee.
What's up, Vin?
What's up, boys?
How was Florida?
Key West, it was an interesting experience, to say the least. I kind of thought it would just be filled with like creepy old people trying to touch my junk the entire time, but it was just relaxing, man. We hung out by the pool. Um, so it was mostly like people our age, like mid-30s, early 40s, and at night we just kind of walked up and down the main drag on Duval Street and watched drunk people and ate good food.
Sounds fine.
Yeah. It was my first like proper vacation where I wasn't like working the entire time in like years. Like I actually just sat by the pool and read a book or went swimming. So I actually feel a little bit refreshed after that, which I guess was the point. How about you guys? What's up? Same old, same old?
I wish I was in Florida. It's fucking cold out. It's been cold. Goddamn, fucking cold.
Yeah.
We just have rain. Although the sun's come out now, but it's been raining all day. It's been pretty depressing looking outside. But in like 3 weeks, it's going to be like spring, so.
Right? We haven't gotten any snow at all. It was just last week while I was away. It dropped down into like sub 15 degrees over here. But spring is coming up quick, right?
Yeah, we haven't even had a flake of snow, and we're almost at spring, so I'm pretty optimistic now. We've escaped winter this year.
Yeah.
I'm pleased.
Global warming.
Yeah, if it could just warm up a little bit more. If you boys could just fly business class a little bit more, we can get this up to Florida weather right here in the UK. Apparently by 2040 it could be as warm as Barcelona and London, so that would be good.
There you go.
Let's see if we can make that happen, boys.
What's on your conference schedule? Do you guys have anything between now and MN Search? Or you're going to Traffic Think Tank, right?
Yeah, Traffic Think Tank. I'm going to Traffic Think Tank, Brighton SEO. I'm not going to MN Search this year, probably. And then PubCon.
Yeah. I think this year will just be Traffic Think Tank and PubCon for me. And then, because we're just working on word agents, but next year I might just hit the conferences really hard and just go to anyone that I can find.
Yeah, we've got a few that we can cross off now, so there's going to be a much shorter list of ones to choose from. Like LeadsCon was terrible. Affiliate World Europe was pretty terrible.
I want to get to traffic and conversions, and I want to get to SMX advanced. I think that might be
advanced.
I think if we're going to exhibit at those, it might be a little bit over our heads right now, but just to go as an attendee, that might be a fun
I don't think I'm going to exhibit again. I think the value is in the
meeting.
Well, no, I mean, if you're going to give the money at all, the value's in just being on the website and going in the email newsletter, which you can get for less money. Because just being on the Brighton website, we were getting people messaging us. We got more leads by email from before the conference than we got people come to our stand.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the stand was a waste of time. If we could have just paid to be on the website, that would have been fine.
And my experience so far with these conference organizers is that once they get your money, like the service is non-existent. Like it's almost self-serve. So that's been a little frustrating. But yeah, getting on those lanyards or getting your logo or a link on something that everybody at the conference touches. Yeah, that's where the ROI is. You don't even.
Yeah, so I mean, we spoke about it. We spoke about it after Brighton, and we just decided we're gonna negotiate that kind of placement. Sometimes even if we're not there. I mean, we tried with one conference that we have no intention of attending, but they just they have such their email list has such an atrocious response rate. It was like, I'm not paying you $10 per open. Like, are you insane?
Yeah.
Like, I asked her to send a good example through of a good successful campaign, and they were the stats she sent me. Yeah, we emailed out to our 10,000 list. It got 47 opens. I was like, it got what? She's like, I will discount you down to $1,000 for access to that. I'm like, have you lost your freaking mind?
Yeah, that's insane.
Like, this is a good campaign. I could just email 10,000 SEOs at random and more than.
Well, that's why these conferences want to deal with the bigger companies like SEM Rush and Deep Crawl, because they don't ask those kind of questions. They just say, how much money do you want? Here you go. Now we're a sponsor. Us little guys.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Deep Crawl just tries to be everywhere because they're facing an uphill battle to keep growing, and there's so many competitors. Like, they've done a really good job being the everywhere brand. Like, they went from no one knew them to everyone knew them really quickly with that. So I guess from them, VC funded, I guess, they probably make sense to really pump the money and get the growth.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense for us to pump the money and get the growth because, what would we even do with 100% growth in 2 months? Like, we'd probably collapse or something. Like, we have to grow steady, organized, train staff, build. It's easier to onboard 100 new people in a day at a conference if you're a SaaS, because I'm assuming the servers aren't just going to break. But it's a whole different story if you actually got 100 people who wanted to onboard.
Yeah.
Imagine you got 100 new agencies and they've all got like
it would be insane.
Yeah, like
when I go to a conference, my sales goal is three recurring clients. That's it. Out of at Brighton SEO, there was 6,000 people there. All I wanted to do was close 3 of them and have them place more than 1 order, and that would be worth it to me. So
I was really just one big agency.
Yeah, or one big agency that sends you all their client stuff. That's great.
One big agency, because you can really work as a partner to those kind of companies, and you can become their problem solver.
Right.
Gives you a much better relationship than if you pick up like 3 small people just ordering like 20 articles a month or something. Like, you'd love to have them, but you never get that close relationship as if you've got someone who you work with their whole team and you get invited to their team calls and all that kind of stuff. You get a lot closer to them, which is good for both of your businesses. You get a much better working relationship. So that's kind of what we're focusing on. But everyone's still welcome. We're not, we've got solid products and pricing for smaller guys too. It's just not a big focus for us to go out there and try and meet as many small guys as finds us and give them great prices. But if we're actually paying money to be somewhere, we try and meet people.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they don't sign up, but usually you have a really good dinner anyway and a good chat and make some good connections. So
yeah,
it's always good to meet the guys that are successful anyway, because you can learn stuff from their battle stories as well over dinner and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna. Well, we are sponsoring Traffic Think Tank, but I'm not doing anything at PubCon. Like last year, they couldn't even tell us where the attendee after party was.
I'm not even buying a ticket to PubCon.
Buying a ticket. I'm so angry with them after that. Like, because they moved the party to the day we organized something, expecting the party to be on the normal day. And just because they were having a sulk over some people turning up at 10 when the official party finished and people turned up at the bar that hadn't got tickets and stuff. So, well, look, people have been meeting unofficially this entire week. It's not just at the party people met. Like, people moving it, like, we're trying to plan a whole week. We're going to have dinners. We're going to have events. We can't pay for a ticket and then find that they've moved the only thing we wanted to go to a day that we can't do because we've just booked our own event. So not going to be buying. I did ask Garrett.
And then they said there was an after party, but they refused to announce where it was until the day of, and then they didn't announce it until people started bitching, and then like somewhere in the comments on a Facebook thread they said where it was, like in passing, and when we got there it was just the organizers and like their buddies. And
well, of course,
like,
because how else was anyone supposed to find it? Like,
exactly. They didn't want to spend the money for an after party, even though you spend what $800 on a ticket to go,
Just
plus
sick,
your
yeah.
airfare and hotel.
What do you think about doing the search awards dinner? That's like $300 for a ticket or something.
I would try it, but you know who it is? It's like all those people that went to that penthouse party that we went
Yeah,
to.
I don't
It's
really
just
have any
like it's like
interest
an
in
old
going.
school pub con people. It's none of the new school that we hang out with. But
I
I
don't know.
would try it. I mean,
Some cool people went. Joe went along.
Joe,
I'm not going to go to that. I'd be so fucking bored. Like, this is like the dumbest shit, and I'd end up getting angry because the people winning these awards is like best SEO e-commerce site that actually wasn't that good, and here's an award because you paid to get it.
Yeah, and all the people
Yeah,
that
you're probably
attend the awards ceremony is all the like owners of these agencies. So you actually don't see them at any other PubCon events. They just show up just for that. And it's like an ego thing, man. And that's just not my style. But I would give it a shot one year just to try it out, get dressed up and all fancy and hang out.
We can decide near the time then, because I guess the ticket doesn't change in price for you. I think for this trip, because I've got like because I've got no conference ticket. If we end up not buying that, it just I might just pay for my flights and my own money and not even really put it through as a business trip. Just
why would you do that?
Well, because it's already suspicious how many times I travel to Vegas from a. I think when you start turning up with no conference ticket,
it doesn't matter. It's
I
business.
don't know. I mean, I'm literally only saving a couple of £100 anyway, so it's like.
Yeah, and you're gonna spend it in Vegas anyway, so it all works out.
Well, if I was paying for my hotel, then I guess I'd be more worried about the total cost of everything. But my hotel's completely free, thanks to the lovely boys at Caesars Entertainment. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, please do. Caesars is great, free hotel.
Oh yeah, and I am not staying at that fucking Econo Lodge again, whatever that was with the what's that called?
We did not make you stay at Econo Lodge. It just wasn't as good as the other embassy suites. The other embassy suites were perfectly nice.
It was like this long, narrow hotel room with no lights. It was very dark.
Do not stay, guys, in the embassy suites by the conference center. It's terrible. Even if you like embassy suites normally, it is nothing like what you normally get. Like even the one in Minnesota, like it was busy, but the room was really quite decent.
Yeah.
I mean, the place was really rammed, so like the service was a bit hit and miss at the bar and stuff. But
are you staying at the Hilton in Miami, Ben?
Yeah, whatever the official Hilton is. I think I just got a room with a king bed in it. I don't know. The Hiltons are all the same.
That's all I did in the end. I figured I'll just stay at the official hotel.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's going to be the best Hilton, to be fair, but I just couldn't be bothered getting an Uber at the end of the night. Like, I figured it's only one night.
I mean, everyone's going to be there. We know some. It's just easier. It was like 1,200.
I don't know what day you guys are getting there in May, but they're doing a networking event every day that week from Monday through Saturday.
So I wish I would have known that like 4 or 5 months ago when I booked my flights and stuff.
It's really annoying. It was like announced as a one-day conference, and now like we should have been in town for the week.
I'm not getting until Friday night.
Same.
Really. I'll be around like 5 p.m. till I get to a hotel and then go to dinner, I guess. But I'm not leaving until Tuesday.
I don't think it's not a massive thing. Like each one of these networking.
Yeah, I mean, I saw they're going.
It's probably 10 people per event. So
I saw they're going like deep sea fishing one day, golfing one day, which is cool. I would have gone and done that stuff if I had known. So I'm not like upset or anything. It's just.
Yeah. I just would have planned to.
I'll be there that Thursday to Sunday, so I'll be there for a few days.
Yeah, I get in on Friday about the same time as Garrett, and I leave like 9 p.m. on Sunday.
Cool.
Oh, I'm staying till like Tuesday or something. I guess I'll have some time to myself.
All right, let's jump to the news here. We got anything significant?
Nah, just the usual nonsense.
So people were talking about another big Algo update. I think some people actually got hit. And this last link I had in there for the SEM rush sensor, whatever the fuck you call it. when I put the link in there. At the time, it was, yeah, I don't know how much weight I put into these little things that do server volatility, but at the time, it was like the highest it's ever been, ever. 9.4 out of 10.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people complaining, so I don't know. All I've noticed is that our big healthcare site's actually finally back in its full swing and then some, so it's nice to see that doing nothing apparently can save a site.
That's what I was just talking about. That I think an authority hacker. They were talking about how to recover from an algorithm update, and I was like, guys, my site's gone through like 5 updates, and I've changed absolutely nothing in regards to strategy, and we're now higher than we ever were.
Yeah, I think some updates you're going to lose 20%, some updates you're going to gain 20%, sometimes you'll gain 40. If you just keep on tracking.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at the zoomed out graph years later, it's going to look really smooth growth, but really you were like this at the time, like going crazy up and down.
Yeah, this kind
That's
of
just what everyone's graphs look at. If you look at some sites that are really big, imagine like that really smooth bit that's actually quite choppy early on in their growth. They were going through huge swings back then. But when you see it all zoomed out now, it just looks like they had this beautiful growth over the years. Everyone goes through a lot of chop, especially because they're changing stuff so often now. I mean, every show, like we joke with others, here's another update, but basically there is an update every week of something fairly major affecting to.
It kind of ties into this conversation with Grindstone that Ian Howells, that's Traffic Think Tank guy. Excuse me. You know, it's like, does anyone at Google who's an engineer actually know how the algorithm works anymore? It's like turning knobs. Oh, let's do this week. That sucked. Let's go back that way. Let's go over here. Like, there's like no rhyme or reason to anything. And Ian's post is kind of funny. 2.7, Google. My dude, have a seat. The next day, fuck this page, total trash. Next day, all right. I mean, I guess it's not that terrible. Next day,
Yeah.
well, this little bit right here is kind of helpful.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of staying the course, and my theory about the ranking factors being based on links and age becomes more relevant every day. You know, you just got to be an older website and have more links, and then you tend to do better. It seems like the big game is just surviving the first 3 to 4 years until Google finally says, okay, you're in the cool kids crowd.
Yeah, I remember one of the guys on Builder Society did a big post about that. Like, he looked at a whole bunch of sites and, you know, like at the 2-year mark, how much better they were doing, despite only, you know, they've got 20% more links or something, and, you know, a couple of hundred more pages, but they've grown in traffic by like 40% over like 3 months as they've crossed the 2-year mark and things like that, and then the 3-year mark, and so just what Vin's saying, you know, there's people tried to look into it, and there is a definite unless your site, like, I guess Google has like a freshness for new industries. Like, if you were a crypto blog when it all first came out on a boom, I imagine they were wanting to surface crypto news stories quickly when people were searching for so I guess like in some spaces where Google knows it needs freshness, and I guess that's what the whole query demands freshness thing was years ago, that your site could have benefited despite being new. But I think it's a general rule, excluding query demands freshness type stuff, the age of your site's super important. So there's a lot more patience needed these days. I mean, look what's happened with our site. Like, Garrett just kind of left it to see what would happen, and you know, I mean, that's 6 months of patience, and suddenly it's booming back up again. So we'll probably look at it again now.
Also, I think content posting consistency is a bigger ranking factor than we think. We know about the freshness factor, but I think it was Dan Cutteridge on Facebook. He posted a tweet from a former Google employee that kind of hinted at another index called the black hole index. And what it is basically, if you're not posting consistently, whether it be daily or weekly, that you automatically get pushed into this black hole index, where you get less love and less attention from Google because they've identified you as not a consistent website. So until more information comes out on that, I would probably say it's a rumor. But it's just something to think about, maybe
I
you
mean, there's
can,
some sites ranking in very competitive like gambling spaces where they don't publish any content at all because they're like sniper sites for one particular game,
yeah,
promoting one particular affiliate network. And they've just done their content once across like 15 of these different sniper sites, and they haven't updated it in like 5 years. And they are still number one for a lot of those keywords. So I think it's going to be very much your mileage may vary on that.
yeah,
And whether Google thinks you're in a niche where you need to be publishing, like I guess if you're in the weather updates space or you're a hurricane site about Florida hurricanes or something, and you haven't posted for 4 years, probably that would make sense for Google to black hole you. But I think there's going to be, or a laptop review site. I imagine Google's going to expect that sites that aren't publishing when new laptops are coming out are probably not good review sites. So I
right.
think it's going to vary a lot by niche. I can't imagine any kind of blanket rule around that working at all because there's some niches where you just don't need to republish an article.
Now let's talk about this algo update and Ahrefs. Something with the update like broke Ahrefs because according to their tool, my site just tanked. But according to analytics, I'm actually up like 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
So their tool is not accurate right now, and it seems as if they're not even fixing that.
Let me look at some people randomly. Oh wow, yeah, there's some mental drops and
Yeah.
things. Yeah, wow.
It looks as of like January 30th, it shows that my traffic started to dip by nearly 20% according to Ahrefs. And same thing with organic keywords, about, from 12,000 index keywords down to about 8,000, which just simply isn't true. And my traffic has actually increased over that period. So something's up with Ahrefs. It's become almost like a tool that you can only trust loosely, like the search
Yeah,
Yeah.
volume.
I've just looked at 4 random big brands, and all
Yeah,
4 are showing the exact same drop that Vin's talking about. And there's been no talk anywhere in SEO about. They're the kind of brands that would have been talked about, I think, if there was actual drops.
A lot of
that's
people
kind
I've
of.
talked to have really started migrating back towards SEMrush for
I like
traffic and
SEMrush.
yeah, even
now
backlink stuff too.
I don't think the guys at Ahrefs are trying to screw us over. I don't think that they're trying to give us less for the same money we've always been paying. I think that they're actually working on that friggin' search engine behind the scenes, and like they think that it's going to be okay when they release it, like everything's going to be fine. That's what my guess is, because ever since they announced that, the quality of the tool has really just gone to shit.
They are very overconfident. So I remember moaning at them years ago when they started adding all these new features, and I'm like, oh, just stay being the best backlink tool. Like if you start sucking at that, it's going to be terrible. And they were like, no, we can add all this stuff and destroy Mars. And they proved me wrong that time. But I guess you can always have a challenge too far. And I think building in a search engine is probably getting close to the.
Yeah, and they could have just been trolling us and just said
They
that
could have.
we haven't heard anything about that since those tweets. So that could have just been
They have added a lot of tools though,
yeah,
to where it really. This must be an enormous cost and effort to maintain and keep working now compared with when it was just a backlink. I mean, that's complex enough. I mean, look how long it took Mars to catch up with them, and some would
yeah,
argue they still haven't. But in raw numbers terms, the size of their index and stuff, they're doing the same amount of work, and it took them years to catch that up. So I mean, just their core mission is a really hard engineering task. So you imagine all the other stuff it does now, the tool, compared with when it first signed up all those years ago. It must be a huge endeavor maintaining a tool like this.
yeah, for sure,
Quite
for
so
sure.
overstretched.
It was just something in the past that I could
That's great.
I could rely on it like so blindly, and I knew that it was correct. And now I kind of just have to use what they're telling me with a grain of salt and kind of confirm that data with other tools and my own manual analysis.
I'm glad you mentioned that though, because I know our team routinely checks sites for big traffic drops on Ahrefs, and then we won't build links on them if it's too bad. And some of these drops, I'm gonna sort of have to mention to them to double check on SEMrush because they might be ghost drops.
Yeah.
It seems pretty widespread. I mean, to be just picking sites at random and they've all had the same drop, it makes no sense.
Yeah, as of January 30th, which I think is when a core update rolled out. But I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Anyway, what else we got here? Google AdSense ransom extortion emails
Compound
for invalid
butter,
traffic.
lemon juice.
What's this all about?
Sorry, just reading something else. Yeah, so basically, like, people are emailing people that are using AdSense on their site and saying, if you don't send me a couple Bitcoin, I'm going to send a lot of ineligible AdSense. Basically, send bots to your website, click your AdSense ads, and get you banned on AdSense. And
because apparently Google is so slow to respond if you dispute getting kicked off and stuff that you could lose months.
yeah, I was wondering, like, what's the actual success rate? Someone does this to you. How do you?
Probably 100%.
Well, no, what I mean is the success rate of actually getting your account reinstated.
Oh,
like,
probably about 0%.
Yeah. And
Rounding
Google,
rounding
like,
error close to 0%.
I mean, it's like, what do? You give someone like $20,000, like, and your site only makes $100 a month or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't pay them. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
But it is worrying, and there's going to be more of this kind of stuff because they're going to attack other networks, and all this automated stuff. It really doesn't work very well. But these companies like Google, they believe in their own hype very much and believe that it works perfectly. And we've already seen in SEO how they make an announcement that they've done X, Y, and Z, and then some black hat just owns their face off and gets their site to rank for 6 months of some nonsense.
Yeah.
That's the level, of believing you should give them when they say these automated systems are perfect. They're really not.
Yeah. I mean, my first suggestion would just be not to respond to them at all. But based on Google's response, it looks like they already have a section on the AdSense publisher's guide on how to deal with sabotage. So
Yeah.
they obviously know that this exists and that it's a problem. And they said they have a special form for people who think that they're victims of sabotage to use if this is happening to them.
I mean, I guess I would say, like, if you do get threatened, monitoring your reports really closely and filling in a form, self-reporting it to Google that you think you're being sabotaged is probably a good idea, because at least then when they review it eventually, they're not going to think, you thought you were going to get this money. You're like, I don't want this money. These clicks can't be real. Like, my site traffic's the same, and suddenly I'm getting 400% more clicks. This must be faked.
Yeah.
So I guess if you do get threatened, you need to be monitoring your reports really carefully and self-reporting that you've been threatened if you see anything show up. Seems like all you can do, really.
Yeah. For sure. And then we just got one thing from Mr. Rand Fishkin, huh?
Well, it's the same thing, unfortunately. So.
Oh.
It's the same one as when? Did I miss it last week?
No, it's just the same article. He was talking about that stuff. He's just saying about Google's lack of support. There's no one to talk to when this stuff happens. Hence, the hackers probably get a lot of paydays, which I thought was a pretty fair point.
I wonder which sites they're actually targeting, because, I mean, if they're asking for like 2 Bitcoin, let's say, that's a lot of money, 18,000, 20,000 American dollars. The site is going to have to be like making 10,000 a month at least in ad revenue or AdSense revenue to be like able to justify it at all. None of these small sites would ever.
It probably works like all of these scams. They probably just scrape everyone who's running AdSense ads that they can find and email all of them, and don't worry about filtering it.
Last year there was an email scam like this, and that they were sending out emails in blasts, but the email would say like, I accessed your computer and downloaded all of your sensitive personal photographs. If you don't send me 2 Bitcoin, I'm going to release them all over social media. And people paid up, man, and it was on the news for.
Well, because they know that, like, 99.999% of people don't have sensitive personal photos on their work computer, but they get that one person who's been sending dick pics around the office for 6 months. He's like, oh shit, I knew this day would come.
Well, did you guys ever get the one like, I hacked into your webcam on your laptop and I saw you watching porn and I have the video of you jacking off and like all that shit. Yeah, so I responded to the guy, fuck man, yeah, you better get that out there.
That's so ridiculous.
At first like, I guess that's possible.
Whoever came up with that. I'm sure the first week they rolled out that scam, they made bank. I'm sure that they made bank. Like the first people to get those emails probably were scared shitless. And I'm sure they started taping over their webcam after that too.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I think that's everything we got for the week. You guys have anything else to cover? What's going on with Reach Creator? Any new products or updates?
We are now.
So if you want to get an order before we put our prices up to it this week.
There you go.
We're now Pitchbox users.
Oh, good. You've been talking to Alex and Mike? Who's your contact?
I talked to Michael a lot, and then Kevin, of course.
Kevin, did you meet Kevin at Brighton?
Yeah, and Dallas.
Yeah, those guys are great, man.
Yeah.
Funny kids.
It's like solved so far all of our email deliverability issues. Actually, I'm just excited that we have something that works. Like basically everything Steve and I spent a lot of wasted money and time on developing our own system for 2 years. Should have just done this.
Yeah.
It's like everything we wanted to do. It's like there.
Well, we spoke to the wrong person before and got some really insane quote. And like obviously Garrett meeting the proper guys has made it much easier to negotiate. Because we had considered them before. We were told like some insane price, and we were like, well, like how many emails do you think we send? Like 19 million for that price or something? Like we want to just send a few hundred emails out, dude. Like what else wrong with you?
How do you like their email discovery tool or feature? Do you think it's accurate?
So yeah, I actually had a pretty in-depth conversation with Michael about it, because what we do, Steve script finds, let's say 4 or 5 email addresses on average. Then a real human being has to pick out the best one when they're going through the data really quick. So I asked Michael, I'm like, how do you guys find the best email address? And it's just a really basic neural net where obviously like John Doe at thedomain.com is probably going to be the best email address. And then if that's not available, it'll pick out like contact editor or something. Yeah. So it just has a bunch of basic rules, because when it pops up, it only shows you the one email address until you want to really go in and personalize or pick it. So like it kind of automates, and he said they're working even more on integrating more advanced machine learning so it can or AI, whatever the fuck you want to call it, to pick out the best email address so you don't have to waste time doing it yourself. And he sounded pretty confident that it's going to be good. So it's exciting that they're like, it just seems it's nice. We're not going to use like all the features in it, but just having email deliverability pretty much, we'll call it solved, is just fucking huge.
Awesome, man. That's great. We're working on a new relaunch to Word Agents, so new copy for the website, new backend system, and I'm pretty much going through the same kind of headaches with the backend system, just getting that customized. Previously, probably 2 years ago, I was talking about building my own from scratch, and that was a bad move. So we're using Service Provider Pro, and I'll probably say we're about 80% of the way there with customizations, so probably got another week or two. And I I'd say probably in a month or so we'll relaunch, also with higher prices. So get your orders in. Yeah.
I mean, we're bringing some new products out as well. We got some cool stuff coming. We're not ready to plug it aggressively now. It's on a huge pilot with one of our biggest clients. You know, we're doing tons of these new products exclusively for them at the minute, trying them out on all of their clients and putting the processes in place, and just really massively increase the type of link variety you can order from us. It's going to be, I mean, it could be the end of the year before we finish going through all of these projects with them and we're ready to launch all of them, or we might launch a few sporadically throughout the year. We haven't really decided. It depends how quickly we can scale up, because obviously they're wanting more and more the more of this cool stuff they're seeing. So then we're like, well, we've got no capacity to sell any more of this, so we'll just keep scaling up with them. So yeah, so we got some cool stuff coming on that front as well. So it should be a good year. I've got some work to do. The back end system that I wrote in 2 months in the evenings, 3 years ago now, finally has a feature that doesn't quite is broken when we've got the database has got too big for it to work the way I designed. So I've got to fix one feature now finally after 3 years. So I guess that's not too bad, but other than that, things are going pretty well.
Yeah, that's something I learned too. Like back when we were smaller, like if somebody wanted like a custom project or a new product that we didn't offer, like I would just be like, yeah, we'll do that for you because we have the time and we're small. You know, we can be flexible. But now we're a little bit bigger, and I'm realizing that a new product actually takes like several months to roll out properly.
Yeah.
So that's something I've definitely learned throughout this process. But
yeah, I mean that's why we haven't rolled out doing reputation management. It's just you know, broadly, it's just too much of a distraction. We were doing a lot of ego bait type stuff, but we've kind of really scaled back on pushing that because it's not it's just not scalable at the kind of volume that big agencies need. Like if an individual comes to us with a small ego bait campaign, we can do it no problems. Yeah. If we try and add that to an agency's thing that they offer to their clients, and we've suddenly got random amounts between 0 and 10 of them to do in a month, it's really awkward to build a machine where you can do something that's so fiddly and so tailored to each individual client. And you know, will they go on podcasts to be interviewed? Won't they? You've got to have this whole list of information about every single one of this agency's clients, so your team knows what they can pitch. And it just wasn't scalable to agency size. And like we spoke about at the beginning, we're really focusing on making ourselves the perfect partner for agencies, not the perfect partner for, like Vin said, any random project that comes along.
Right.
So we have to be, that's why we're kind of holding off on which ones of these we launch more broadly, because we want to make sure we pick ones, having made a couple of mistakes before on which ones we tried to run with. We want to pick ones that are going to be really easy to just take random orders, and there'll be a system and it can just go into the workflow without any problems. So we can just stay being that magic black box that people want us to be, and they put their orders in and links magically turn up, you know. We don't want to generate 47 back and forth emails and complexity. So we're trying to make sure we launch the right stuff where you can just rely on us to, you know, you want 10 of these weird things, we just deliver them and job done.
There you go. Yeah, I'm really glad to finally get away from Google spreadsheets and, you know, 20 emails for a single order and all that kind of stuff. And I was too overzealous thinking that I could build a platform myself coming off of that and be successful. So now what we're doing is kind of like a stepping stone. We're using Service Provider Pro along with some other platforms like Active Campaign and some other stuff, all tied together with Zapier. And then we'll use that. And then once we max out on that, then I'll have the money and the time to go to a real developer and show them what we have and just say, rebuild it, but just for us, all in one platform. And then I'll finally be on something custom. But that's at least 5 years away. So yeah, this new system should be perfect for where we're at right now.
No, it sounds ideal.
Yep.
You guys want to hear something stupid?
Go on. Let's lighten the mood.
So we're running we just have one consulting client left, right? After all these years, and we're running some Facebook ads for them. Someone got mischarged, whatever. Been trying to delete this old business ad account for like a month now. Back and forth with their fucking support. Finally, he emails me back today again. Hi Garrett, I hope you're having a good morning. I'm emailing you now to follow up on your request. Blah, blah, blah. After investigation, we have determined that due to the 2 ad accounts that were disabled within the business manager, I want to delete the business account. It is not eligible at this time for deletion. Then he goes on to say, nothing can get charged, whatever, you can just leave it open. So I said, thank you. What do I need to do to make this account eligible for deletion? This is the whole issue. And you've just taken up like 3 weeks of my time here. Now he's just responded a couple minutes ago. After further review, this particular business is unable to ever be deleted off the platform. With that being said, it will still be available in the event you need it. Why can't I delete the account? Like,
because
it's some ancient ad account that we used to use back when we did ad consulting for clients. Like, we haven't used this in like 8 years. Garrett has a new one now.
Yeah.
He's been trying to get this deleted now for like a year, and the last 3 weeks really hardcore. And like, why would you want to have a closed down business's ad account manager still open on Facebook? Like, it makes no sense.
What you should take a privacy angle, Garrett, and say that you're not comfortable with privacy issues about having that open.
Yeah.
And if they can't close it, you're going to have to seek legal action to have it closed to have your client's information kept private.
So
then they'll magically find a way to delete it.
Yeah. I think that's the key.
Yeah,
that's the key. I think.
I suppose
you can let us know how you get on next week.
Nothing's ever fucking easy, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think you click the delete button. I mean, they have a delete button on like business manager accounts. Like, you'd think you would just click the delete button and that would be that. Like, there are no active ads or things attached to that account anymore. It's just this dormant shell of a thing that's sat there forever.
It sounds like you're talking to a rep that doesn't have an answer to your question. So their answer is, yeah, we just can't do that. Sorry. Sorry. See you later.
It's like, yeah, but it makes no sense, dude.
Yeah.
Please delete it.
All right, boys. I think we're good for the week.
Okay.
Have a good day, guys. Thanks for joining us at lunchtime again.
We're all done with our traveling and the holidays, so I think we should be consistent now for the next couple of weeks until some other bullshit pops up and we disappear. But anyway,
one of the people watching needs to volunteer to be a guest. We need a guest. So. Yeah. If you're watching and you'd like to come on, you even get to pick the topic. We'll all talk about whatever you want to talk about, unless it's boring.
I'll talk to Andre from Alpha Investors and see if he wants to come on. I'm sure.
Or one of his team. It doesn't, he needs to be the main man. If he wants to send someone on, just because that's got to be a cool business to talk about right now, and it's topical. Everyone's interested.
Yep, for sure.
Cool.
All right, boys. I'll catch you next week.